information items can be organized hierarchically, like in a table of contents, or as you see in the upper corner of this slide, the kind of in a tree type of structure. Right? This is almost like a family tree type of structure, right? We have grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, parents, children, grandchildren, right, etc. That's a hierarchy, and I've talked about that term a number of times, and now it's time for us to really kind of get down into it and talk specifically about what it is. So that's the idea of an information hierarchy. We have the idea of an index, and we've talked a lot about indexing already, but mostly in terms of the full text index. We'll spend a little bit more time here talking about things that aren't full text indexes. We have hierarchies, indexes, we have links, and links are point-to-point connections from one piece of information to another piece of information. I'm on boots, so maybe I want to link to socks because boots and socks go together, right? That's the idea of a link. It's not that boots and socks are a hierarchy, it's not that boots and socks are an index. Boots and socks are related to each other, and so there should be a link between those two items of information. And then finally the sequence, and the picture that I like most to describe a sequence is like the beads on a chain or the pearls on a necklace. Each item of information is linked to the next one and the previous one in a long line, like one long story, one after the other. Okay, so this far we've sort of gone. I've talked about these ideas of the hierarchy, the index, the links, and the sequence in a previous lecture. Now let's dive in and talk more specifically about each one of those. But before we do, let's spend just a moment on the idea of who is the organizer, who actually does the organization. And following some of the work that we did in social issues earlier on, we have the same dichotomy. Maybe the experts do that organization. Maybe the experts do the creation of the hierarchies or the indexes or the sequences or the links. Maybe it's done by people who are highly trained, maybe know a lot about the information, maybe do this all day long, that's their job, right? Those are experts. Gone through school for it, etc., graduated the iSchool, and now they do this for a living, right? Could be done by them, or could be done by the crowd, could be done by the mob out there in cyberspace, right? So those are the two possibilities, and we've talked about this before. You could have experts doing stuff, or you can have people in general who may or may not be experts who just are interacting with the information doing it. So if it's experts, there's a number of names we might call these experts, a number of sort of job titles that they go under. Kind of the most popular, I think, these days is the name taxonomist. So if you run into somebody and they say they're a taxonomist, what they're doing is they're creating this organization. They're figuring out how all the different pieces of information fit together. They might be called indexers because they create indexes. They might be called abstractors because they take a big amount of information and they abstract it down to the essence, to the small amount of information, and that's a way also of organizing information. They may be called catalogers because they put information into a catalog. They create a catalog, which is a great collection of all the pieces of information and how they all fit together. They could be called taggers. Sometimes they're called taggers because they add tags to the information. That's one of the ways that we specify the organization and information is by adding something called a tag, and so these guys could be called tags. Or the word that I really like, but it's really a very obscure word because I made it up, a metator. A metator is a person who adds metadata to information. And I won't go any further. I just had to put it on here because, as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the names, but really the rest of the world doesn't think that way. Only me. Okay, so those are various names for these people if they're the experts. Various names for these people if they're just the crowd. Folksonomy is a name for a list of words that were not created by experts, but were created by the people who use the information. So taxonomy, get it? Folksonomy. Folk is people, right? Just general old folks out there creating this organization, creating these categories. They call those a folksonomy. So it's not like it's a job title, folksonomist. It's that we call the things, these organizations of information that are created by just general people out there, we often call them folksonomies. Social tagging is another word for this kind of crowd creation of organization. Collaborative tagging, social indexing, those are all words that we use to describe the people out there in cyberspace all doing it collaboratively at the same time. Okay, so that same division we've seen before between either the experts could be doing it or regular old people who just happen to come in contact with the information could be doing it. All right, so now on to each of these four. We have the hierarchies, we have the indexes, we have the links, and we have the sequences. Let's look at an example of each of these inside of Wikipedia. I chose Wikipedia for a couple of reasons for these examples. First is because It's great. I mean, it has very clear examples of each one of these kinds of organizations. Okay, starting with a hierarchy. The best way to think about a hierarchy is that it's a table of contents. It's the great table of contents of whatever, your website, your information system. In this case, it's the table of contents of Wikipedia. So at the top of the table of contents in a book is the title of the book. Right? We have the title of the book followed by all the major headings in the book. Right? That's the way that the table of contents works. Other ways of thinking about a hierarchy is a tree. Other ways of thinking about a hierarchy is parents and children, right? Classes and subclasses. Those are all other ways, but the way that I think is easiest for you to look at it, because that's the way that you're going to find it most often as you travel around the web, is as a kind of a table of contents. So here we have the table of contents for Wikipedia. Starts with Wikipedia itself, sort of the label or the logo of Wikipedia. And then you can see the top level of the table of contents of Wikipedia. We have ads and biography, geography, history, mathematics, science, etc. And then we have an entry for technology. If I click on the entry for technology, I'll see the subheadings under technology, all the words that group up to be technology, or looking at it from the other angle, technology breaks down in all these other words, the first of which is agriculture. And I can go down yet another level. So I click on agriculture and I get this thing on Wikipedia called subcategories. And the subcategories give me yet the next. Notice the word there, subcategories, right? Categories and subcategories, that's what a hierarchy is all about. It's information, under information, under information, under information, under information. In Wikipedia, since there's so darn much of it, they have lots and lots of levels. The more information, the bigger the book, in effect, the more has to be in the table of contents and the more levels there are in the table of contents. Okay, so this idea of hierarchy is an idea of levels. It's an idea of a table of contents. It's an idea of things inside of things inside of things. And the example we have here for Wikipedia starts at the Wikipedia logo, starts and then goes down to the first level of categories, the first level of headings, the first level of subjects, then into the second level, then into the third level, and in Wikipedia we can go a lot further than just the third level. That's just where I stopped. Okay, that's organization number one. This example shows you a couple of things. It shows you the concept of a hierarchy, but it also shows you the user interface behind this particular hierarchy. Is there only one user interface for a hierarchy? You start looking around and you will realize that there's a lot of ways of showing hierarchy, showing outlines, showing tables of contents, showing this parent and child thing on the web. Every website basically has some form of hierarchy on it. And it's the categories and subcategories that define the content, the information that's on that website. So I show you this one just by way of example, but this is far from the only example. There's examples everywhere of hierarchies on the web. And really, if you get nothing else out of this piece of the course, it's to start looking at these things, start trying to figure out what they are and what they tell you about the information that's behind them, behind the scenes. So when I see a hierarchy on the web, I start thinking, okay, behind the scenes, someone must have organized all this information into sort of an outline form. All right, hierarchy. Next. Come on, need to get my thing to advance here. Okay, oh sorry, I wanted to show you a couple of deliverables along the hierarchy, in the hierarchy realm. So I'm a information architect. I'm trying to create a hierarchy. What might I do? The deliverable that I'm showing you here is called a card sort. We take all the words that we think might describe this information, we put them all on little stickies, and then we tell people, organize these. Put them into, subjects and classes, put them into sort of an outline. I'm not really sure how to do that. I want your input. And we get lots of different people to do that. It gives us ideas about how we should organize this stuff into categories and subcategories. What things are really the same, what things don't the users understand, what categories are obvious, what categories are not obvious. So this deliverable of a card sort, we put all the words on cards, we get people to organize them, the end users, the people who are going to be using the system, we get to organize them, and then we learn from it. And from that we decide what way we want to, how we want to organize the information, how we want to make the hierarchy inside the system. Okay, that's deliverable number one in the hierarchy world. Deliverable number two is a sitemap. So the sitemap starts with a home page, and it says from the home page we go down, down, down into more and more specific pages. So this website is organized a lot like a book. Home page is the cover of the book. Then chapter 1 is section 1 of the home of the website, and then under that we have section, subsection, and then subsection, and then subsection, and then we have section 2, subsection, 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 section 3, subsection, subsection, etc., etc. So the sitemap is a hierarchical view of the way the website works, the way the website looks. And that sitemap is almost, it's a big deliverable. It's a big thing that people put together for their sites. Now, interestingly, I'm not sure if I showed you this in a video or not yet. I can't remember in what video it shows up in this class, but somewhere in this class, there's someone who says, this view of websites is really mistaken. And why? Because people don't really go from the home page down into the site. They don't look at home pages they don't look at websites like we look at books. They look at websites because they came to a very particular page right smack in the middle of the website from Google. Right? They did a Google query and they don't go to the home page of the website. They go to some page in the middle of it. So from this guy's standpoint, the best way to look at websites, where did I put that video? From this guy's standpoint, the best way to look at websites is from the inside out, from the pages that people are likely to land on in the website. Then where do they go from there? So this is a little bit more of a traditional view of a website. I wouldn't say that it's a wrong view. I'd just say it's a very different view than the view that I'm going to randomly land on some page in the middle of the website, never really see the home page, and navigate from there. Okay, so at any rate, the deliverables behind hierarchy. One I showed you is a card sort, and that card sort has end users, has people who are going to use the system helping us figure out how to organize the information hierarchically. Number two is sitemaps that say, what is the table of contents for this website? How will all the pages of this website be organized hierarchically? And they're often delivered in diagrams that look like the one on this page. Alrighty. So now we have the concept of an index. And we've talked already about the full text index, called lots of things, but my preferred term for it is the full text index. We talked about the Google one, and remember what Google does is it goes out, spiders the web, grabs all the pages, shakes all the words off the pages, puts them in a long alphabetical list with links back to the page and the position on the page where that information came from. Right? That's the Google thing. And when I told you originally about this Google index, I said all indexes share a few things. They're alphabetical or numerical lists of terms, and they point to the places where that term is used. Right? That describes this Google index, but it also describes a more sort of traditional index, one that you're likely to see. You're never likely to see the Google index, but you are likely to see the index, for example, on Wikipedia. So here's an index on Wikipedia, and you can just by glancing at it says portal contents, portal meaning the wiki, right? Portal meaning Wikipedia, A to Z index. You can see, I think, really quickly that there is a lot of information on Wikipedia. Just to even show the, how do you get to something, you have to go down 2 levels. There's this, the A to Z index, and it doesn't just say, it doesn't, for like the index in the back of the book, it just doesn't list all A, B, C, D, E, F, all the terms. It actually has links. So here's a link not even to the A's, but to the AAs, the ABs, the ACs. That's how much stuff there is on Wikipedia that they need to organize the index by having 2 levels of clicking before you actually get to the real index terms. So this may seem to you to be a hierarchy because I'm clicking down, down, down. Under AA goes to, whatever the listing for AA things, and then finally down to the bottom. But it's really not a hierarchy. It's really an index. And that index shows alphabetically every word that's in Wikipedia and how you would get to it, and then points, as all indexes do, points to the page that contains that information. So we have a term. Click on the term. You go to the page that describes that information, just like all indexes. Okay, so you get the idea. This is a user interface. This is the user interface to the index of Wikipedia. The information on Wikipedia is organized by index. It's organized hierarchically. It's also organized by index. And when I present that index, when I show that index to users like you, I put it in this user interface. I put it in this presentation so that you'll have a way to interact with it, so that you'll have a good experience of finding the information that you want. So let's move now to links. And links are also called associations, and the reason is because they associate one piece of information with another. You see on the page here a typical Wikipedia page, and it happens to be the page on Google. And of course, this is where things get very familiar, but I want to take these familiar things and make them just a little strange to you. So you have all these blue terms, right? All the blue terms on the word. What are those? Those are links, right? So that's the easiest way to think of links. But how I really want you to think of links is that they're associations. They're associating this Google page to other pages. All those blue words are other pages that this page is associated to. If you took all the links of all the pages that all the pages are associated to and you made a little diagram about them, you'd show something that looks a whole lot like a web, right? Nodes, each node in the web or network, each node is pointing to other ones in each of those strings like we talked about before. Does that sound familiar? Remember the social network, the social graph? That diagram which I have in the corner of this page that shows all the people and who they're all connected to? How about all the web pages and who they're all connected to? That's the same sort of structure. So this structure is not the same as a hierarchy. It's not the same as an index. It's a third structure. It's the structure of how information is interrelated to each other through links or through associations. So we have the hierarchy, we have the index, and now we have links or associations. And those links or associations take one piece of information and associate it to others. The user interface for those links, the ways those links are presented, is through blue text on a page. Right? Could have lots of different ways of representing them, and just like with indexes, just like with hierarchies, if you look around the web, you'll see all sorts of ways that these links, that these associations, the things that create the web structure of the web, how they're represented, how they're presented, how they're shown to you on a page. Okay, so here's a little deliverable that's associated with links, and it's called a node map or a concept map. And these are often used to brainstorm your way through what is all this about. Like I want to create a website in this case, so let's just say we want to create a website about the Earth. And we start brainstorming all the different concepts that have to do with the Earth. One way to do it would be we'd make an outline, right? That would be a hierarchical approach to this brainstorming exercise. Another way we could do it is just list all the words alphabetically and say, well, we got to somehow cover all these words. Another way to do it would be to take all the words, put them on a page, and arrange them and draw lines between them to show how they're all related. And when you do that, just like I show in this diagram here, you end up with something that looks like a web, right? Because lots of things are interrelated to lots of other things. And that's the difference between this web structure and the other structures we've talked about. This web structure is much more free form. You move from topic to topic, from node to node, from item of information to item of information, really in all sorts of directions. Whereas in the other ones, it's much more structured, and it's much more we've decided ahead of time how all this stuff is put together. In links, you really move quickly from one place to another. So lots more I could talk about in all of these subjects. I'm just giving you the tip of the iceberg, but if you're interested in this stuff, there's certainly resources for going much further into it. Okay, so the deliverable is a concept map. That concept map may help us understand how to interlink all of the information so that it's organized by links or by associations. Maybe we've already created a list of terms for our index. Maybe we've already created an outline for our hierarchy. Now we're creating a third thing. Okay, so onto the last kind of organization that we're going to talk about, a sequence. The sequence, as I described it before, is sort of like beads on the string. We go a next thing. And I showed you a sequence. Sequences are a little bit harder to find because they're just not as well utilized as links and indexes and hierarchies are on the web. Lots of information is sequentially, but the user interface for those sequences, the way that the sequences are presented on the screen, is often not as accessible, and it's just a less well used form of organization, I must say. Okay, so here I did find one, however. And a typical way of organizing information sequentially is to put it all on a timeline. So here's a Wikipedia timeline, and you can see that each of those little blocks is associated with a date, and you're kind of intended to go from the first one to the second one to the third one to the fourth one, and to see them in sequence, to read them in sequence. It's kind of like a story, right? We're telling a story one event at a time, and this event came before this event, and we should look at the first event, and then look at the second event, and then look at the third event. That's how sequences work. So this is one form of sequence. And the deliverable that we might look at for a sequence is what's called a storyboard. So a storyboard is a way of telling a story. A story is a sequence. A story is a sequence of events, right? Think of any story you've ever heard, and it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? Things come next in the story. You don't jump around from the beginning to the end to back to the middle, right? That's the way that we think of stories. They're in sequence. And sometimes, if you're being in a fancy movie, they will jump around in time, but in the end, you take all of that and think about it. You do this. You take it all and you sort it out in your mind. The reason it's presented not in sequence is just to make it more interesting. But in the end, when the movie's over, you take all those pieces and you rearrange them so that you can tell the story from beginning, middle, and end, because that's the way that we remember stories. That's how sequences work inside of our minds. So a deliverable along these lines is a storyboard. The storyboard is a way of showing the sequence. 1, 2, 3. It's kind of like a cartoon. When I think of storyboards, that's exactly what I think of. I think of cartoons. They show a little event with some dialogue maybe, next event with some dialogue, next event with some dialogue, etc. Okay.